Talk to me.
Ready. Standing by.
Light it up.
This is Captain Cassian Andor, Rebel Intelligence.
There's spies everywhere.
Cassian Andor. I need all the heroes I can get.
You son of a bitch! I'm in!
They're so fat and satisfied. 10 men feel like 100. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old.
A 6-year-old boy.
Hang on!
Hello and welcome to Andor and More. Who Watches podcast about the Disney Plus series Andor on Disney Plus. I am Travis Fishburne. And this week we are going to be covering Andor episode 4, Aldhani. And so, Dustin, this is our first time being with you since the show started. What have you been thinking of Andor thus far?
It's good. I'm definitely, like, I told you guys this off air, I'm kind of at a point of franchise fatigue with Marvel and Disney and Star Wars and stuff. But that being said, Andor has been so radically different, I think, from any of the other Disney Plus content we've seen for Star Wars. Honestly, I feel like there's just trace amounts of Star Wars there, because I feel like a lot of the other properties have leaned a little bit more on like Easter eggs and stuff, or maybe there are Easter eggs that I'm just missing a bunch of. But this one definitely feels like it stands a little more on its own than any of the other shows have so far.
Yeah, no, I really agree. This episode delved a little more into all those Easter eggs and stuff, which were not very present at all in the first 3 episodes. But, I'm really enjoying it with or without the eggs.
Yeah.
Whether it's Easter or not, I'm happy with where Andor is going.
Yeah, it's good. And it was the same response that I had to Rogue One. Like, and it's part of why I like The Mandalorian so much, is when they kind of embrace like playing in different genres, because with the movies and with so much of it, like, you have this huge, interesting world to play in. And like, especially with the new trilogy, like, it feels like there's a lot of kind of playing it safe in terms of like what they tackle genre wise and what elements we get to see. And Rogue One was a nice change of pace for that, because it was essentially a war movie. And then this is very much kind of like a cloak and dagger type spin on things that we're getting in the Star Wars world. And I think that's really interesting. And I kind of wish that we would get a little bit more of that in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it really lends itself to that. And the show is really capitalizing on that idea. And it's being able to do so without a lot of the baggage that like a Kenobi or even the Mandalorian, which the Mandalorian did not start out with a lot of baggage.
No,
and then it started to bring it all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I love this. However, you're making it so that you have to be withholding to certain things. And Andor is not like that at all. And it's very freeing because of that aspect.
I'm hoping they'll stay the course with that, because, like, not everything has to be connected to the Skywalkers, which has been the big downfall of a lot of the other stuff. And I'm sure eventually we're probably going to see Darth Vader at some point, because the timeline, it makes sense for it. But like, but so far I like that we're seeing the Empire kind of on the rise and things before like they really start to like have that like crushing grasp that they do. Like they're still kind of like openly being defied a little bit. And this is a real interesting time in that storytelling timeline for us to be seeing right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely agreed. So we can get into it. And we're just gonna open discussion this thing. Talk about the things we like. And what I loved about this episode was we get a whole lot more Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. He's my favorite character in this show.
Yeah, Luthen Rail's fantastic. I also love that we got to see two sides of that character. That we got to see like the hardened like rebel alliance warrior that he is, but then we also see him putting on this facade of like the kind of whimsical shopkeeper and like putting up the front to like hide where his allegiances truly lie. Like that shop scene was so good.
Yeah. No, I love that. It was it was really great. And when you saw him, I mean, we get that first interaction with him and Andor, in which he's, trying to give him the inspiring talk, and he's foreshadowing a lot of things that we know are to come. And then he drops him off and says, "Hey, you're going to be with this crew, and sink or swim, buddy. I'm going off to Coruscant."
Yep.
And then he gets there and he puts on a wig.
Yep.
And I'm like, what's going on here? He's disguising himself as a senator or something. And I thought that's what he was going to be, was somebody higher up. But no, he's like, he's like Benicio del Toro and Thor.
Yeah, like an antiquities dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need way more disguises in the Star Wars universe.
Yes. I do wish the disguise was a little more elaborate.
Yeah.
Because it's just basically him with long hair.
But I mean, even that's at least some degree of spycraft. Like, I'm just saying, I think that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker could have snuck around the Death Star a little more easily if they'd had fake mustaches.
This is very true.
So,
some 70s stashes.
Yeah.
Running through the Death Star.
Maybe a fedora or a trilby cap of some sort. Maybe affect a light German accent. Something.
Oh, that'd been interesting.
But yeah,
there's not a lot of German accents in Star Wars.
No, it's either British or nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was one German accent in Star Wars that I can think of, and that was of a deranged scientist who created a deadly virus in the Clone Wars.
Ah, yes. Oh, and we do get Herzog in Mandalorian.
That's right. Oh, yes.
So, the client. So two accents, German accents in Star Wars.
Yeah, I think just Herzog and Skarsgård just need to have like their own series.
It'd be fantastic. That one of my favorite things about rewatching Entourage or watching Entourage for the first time was there's a point where Skarsgård is a director who's literally just a stand-in for Herzog, and he's pitch perfect as it. So putting those two together in something, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thrown off by the costume that he created, the quality of the wig that he initially pulled out, and what we saw in the end, which was a very, elaborate Hollywood hair job. Where I'm like, that looks way better than the wig he pulled out.
Maybe he teased it out a little before he went out into the shop.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And then his shop itself. This is where we get like the majority of the Easter eggs in this episode, because there's holocrons, there's Plo Koon's mask. For some reason, that got pulled out of the wreckage of the ship that he was flying.
Yeah.
He's got the armor, like it looks like a knight in armor is in his shop, and that I don't know if you recognize, because I know you played the Force Unleashed games.
Correct.
And that is a modified look at the Star Killer.
Oh, okay.
That's his name, right?
Yeah,
when he
Star
turns
Killer.
bad. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When he turns bad, that's the armor that he's wearing.
Interesting. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
No, I missed that. The cudgel looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. That he takes out and shows Mon Mothma at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, and then we get Mon Mothma showing up. Genevieve O'Reilly, she shows up, and they have a little quiet talk in which they have to put the facades down, and she's trying to get money. Or no, he's trying to get money. Who's trying to get money?
He's trying to get money from her to pay Andor for taking on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And
which theoretically can't he just get paid after the fact, because he says what they're going after is just a bunch of Imperial money.
I think so. Maybe the money's for other things. Because yeah, I guess he doesn't specify what the money is for. We just know that he's promised Andor a large sum of it. But I mean, also, as anyone who's worked in politics or military can tell you, wars cost money.
This is very true. They're expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get her, and we get to see her Cadillac of a speeder. She goes home, and we find out Mon Mothma is married. And her husband, I don't know, like what, if they're on the same page at all politically.
No.
It seems like, yeah, it's just like a hard no, but it's also like, so does she keep this from him, or is he aware, like, she's got that rebellion thing going? I stay quiet about it, but then I host these dinners in which I, invite all these people, including the creepy Sly Moore.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably completely in the dark. I feel like he has to be, because he also seems like the type that would 100% turn her in if he knew about it.
Yeah, which is so weird. Like, why? Like, what was the marriage about to begin with? Because it seems like they just like don't get along, and he wants to party all the time, and she wants to start the rebellion. And if we take any of the deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith into account, like, she's been doing this for a while, probably before they were even together. So it makes me think like the marriage would have to be some kind of in and of itself, like a Game of Thrones-esque political move.
Yeah, that definitely strikes me as what it is, like kind of a marriage of opportunity more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Other interesting aspects about this episode. We get the
really quick.
Go ahead.
Is this the actress that played Mon Mothma originally?
This is, well, not Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma, but this is Genevieve O'Reilly came in to play Mon Mothma in a scene, a young Mon Mothma for Revenge of the Sith in 2005. And her scene got cut. It didn't make the final cut of the movie. It's a deleted scene. But when they were making Rogue One, they're like, well, she's going to be in the movie. Let's hire that woman who was in the deleted scene. And so
Gotcha.
She gets to play like this character that she thought was just like, got scrapped. And she's since voiced her in Rebels and now this show.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah, because I was a little confused because I saw that she was credited as Mon Mothma and other stuff. I was like, there's no way that this actress looks like that after like 40 years.
Yeah.
So, okay,
no.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Or maybe the original Mon Mothma is a Paul Rudd. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or maybe they pulled a Peter Cushing in Rogue One.
Yeah. If they pulled a Peter Cushing in Rogue One with her, they have gotten way better at it.
Yeah. So yeah, we got that. We got the Cassian Andor proper plot line itself, in which he's brought on to be part of a team doing a heist, stealing some Imperial monies.
Yeah, I like that this is setting up to give us a heist now too, on top of everything else, which is great, because like that element in Solo I wish would have paid off a little bit more, and then like it just kind of was a big anticlimax.
Yeah, I mean, I know I use the Rick and Morty clip of the heist episode in which that genre of film is torn apart. However, I really do like heist films, and I always appreciate a good heist when it goes down.
Same.
And I also appreciated that in Solo. I like the opening of Return of the Jedi is just, ostensibly like a heist film.
Oh yeah, with the Jabba's palace and the barge.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
The original Colin Trevorrow written episode 9, Duel of the Fates, was supposed to open with a similar, Return of the Jedi-esque style, like adventure that was kind of a heist. And so I like that when it's brought into Star Wars.
Yeah,
So
I think it's a lot of fun. And I'm excited. I was actually surprised when the episode wrapped. I was like, oh, and then I remember they're doing what, 12 of these total,
12.
which is more than they've done before for sure. So I mean, if it stays as consistent and as interesting as it is, I'm fine with 12 episodes of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's also the first series that I feel like they've been pretty definitive as far as like they've got like a plan of what they want to do from the get-go. Like they've got 12 episodes for this season. They just want to do 2 seasons. 12 episodes here and 12 episodes for the next season to like lead right into Rogue One.
That's smart.
Whereas like everything else, Mandalorian was instantly like, and this will go on for a while. And the Book of Boba Fett was set up, and I feel like initially it was really, I don't know if this is what they intended, but definitely the marketing, how they would have you believe it was like, this is just going to be a few episodes. It's going to be a standalone thing, but it definitely sets itself up to be like, this is going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And even Kenobi as well. Like Kenobi, I think they wrote it in a way that it could be like, this is all you get. Or they're like, if Ewan wants to keep doing it, we could keep going.
Yeah, I don't know that we've had a chance that we definitely haven't talked on air about it because we didn't do Kenobi. No. What did you think about Kenobi?
I really, I liked a whole lot about it. For whatever reason, I mean, I still need to like go back and like rewatch it. Whereas that was never an issue with Mandalorian. I was like watching episodes multiple times. With this series, I'm watching the episodes multiple times.
Yeah.
And Kenobi, I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and give it more attention, which I feel like maybe I was just like busy at the time, or what was going on. But like Alex and I also talked about it last week. Neither one of us were really thrilled with the, just like the visual representation, how it was shot.
Yeah.
Where I feel like this is a huge improvement as far as like making things look like an actual film.
Yeah. I think I'm probably on this. I thought that Kenobi was very okay. That's kind of where I landed on it. Like there was some really cool stuff that they did. Like I thought it was interesting seeing the Jedi Temple massacre from the other side of, like actually seeing it. I thought that was really effective. I really liked the stuff with Reva, the third sister. But yeah, there was a lot that just felt kind of But then you have like moments of brilliance, like Kumail Nanjiani masquerading as a con artist Jedi. Like so there were a lot of like little touches that I thought were really great, and then there was just a lot of stuff where it's just like, this feels kind of cookie cutter. I feel like they're doing Obi-Wan kind of a little dirty on this.
Yeah. And, it was originally conceived to be a film and to be a part of a trilogy of films. So this first season is really the first movie that they had written, and they, rewrote it and stretched it out to be a series. And I'm like, man, I feel like whatever the the script was, if it ever gets, officially like, or even unofficially leaked, I feel like that's going to be a lot tighter and maybe, probably would have been my preferred way to see it go down.
Yeah, definitely. If I had, I don't know how keen I'd be if I'd seen that series as just a one-off film, or even like as part of a trilogy. Like, I think I would have felt very underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, I was just curious because I hadn't had a chance to talk to you guys about it yet.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Andor I think is definitely a step up in the quality, in the storytelling, in the vision for the show for sure. And I think that's why, in spite of like my just being exhausted with Star Wars stuff, like I'm still tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's also had the most time to bake, because this series was supposed to be the second one we got. Like, it was supposed to be Mandalorian, and this was the one we knew was coming next. Book of Boba Fett was a surprise announcement, and Kenobi was, like I said, a film that got reworked and rewritten a few times into the series. But all the while, it was like, well, you guys are still shooting that Andor show, right? This was shot over 2 years ago, like most of this
Really?
stuff. And they were shooting this like as I think first season of Mando was dropping.
Oh, wow.
So, pre-pandemic and stuff. So it was very surprising when this kept getting like bumped as far as the release schedule. And there were never any rumors about like it's getting bumped because they got some work to do on fixing this thing. It was never anything like that. And I don't know why, because obviously it turned out great.
yeah,
But maybe that's why. Maybe it's like, hey, it was something that they just like really finessed and got it right.
I mean, if the rest of the series is as good as these first couple episodes have been, I'm not mad that they took longer on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So Andor's going to be part of this heist. There's going to be a weird comet show that happens every few years. It's going to be pretty fun to look at. I also want to talk about Luthen's ship, which I really love the design of it.
Mm-hmm.
Both on the outside and on the inside. On the inside, he's got there's a droid. The droid is voiced by David W. Collins, which I love. He has worked with Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound for a while. He breaks down scores and soundtracks on the soundtrack show, which is incredible. And I love the actual look of the ship. Here, I'm gonna go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. But yeah, we got I love the panels on the inside. Everything is like this cool, like gray, white, and blue look, which we're used to seeing those kind of panels like in the Death Star, but like there's a lot of reds.
Yeah.
And I think just like the very cool nature of all the colors was like very fresh and very striking to me. And I like that.
Yeah, it's a cool looking ship.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. What else we got? Is there anything else? Oh no. And we get to talk about Cyril, who is the mall cop who gets demoted or fired. And then he gets to go down into like the lower levels. And is this Coruscant? Is this what this looks like? Does he go back home to Coruscant?
I think so. Oh, this is Karn, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, he said his first name, and I didn't remember what his first name was. I just remembered him as Karn. Yeah, like he
Yeah.
goes back home to his mom's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also like the other thing, seeing a lot of bureaucracy in this, like almost more than I feel like we've seen outside of Phantom Menace, which is an interesting switch too. I like just seeing like all of these over ambitious like political moves from all the varying facets of like the empire and then like the corporate security and stuff.
Hmm. I'm all for it. I know people. I know a common complaint about the prequels and the Phantom Menace, specifically when it was released, was like people were like, "Ooh, you bringing politics and stuff into this? I don't care about this."
Yeah.
And I think maybe at the time that might have been the case because, that's not what people showed up for. But I think there's also a case to be made as to like, well, you're getting like broad strokes there, and you weren't getting the actual political intrigue that something like a show of this nature can bring. And I think Star Wars politics is very interesting,
Yeah.
and it works really well in book form. There's a book called Bloodlines, which is about Leia post Return of the Jedi and navigating all of the crazy stuff, that happens after the fall of the Empire. And I think, even just like the rise of it and the steady presence of the Empire and everything that is going on politically within that network is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, oh man, do I realize like, okay, this is actually kind of interesting seeing this play out. And it's also a nice change of pace because we're so used to seeing like especially Imperial figures being like just very arch and just like just very like the way Grand Moff Tarkin is in New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're used to seeing them play essentially a variation on that. So seeing them be like just very kind of cold and impersonal. Like one of them even has the line about like dealing in like vetted facts and information instead of hunches and everything. Because the gal who came up from enforcement like wants to do a little more investigating into things. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that actually lends itself really well to a show like this. And it's my initial reaction was like, oh really? And then I was like, oh no, I actually really enjoy this in a Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I love it. And yeah, so there's the Cyril Karn stuff, where he's now he's not going to be like climbing the ranks. I don't know what's going to be happening with him and where his story's going. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see how that plays out. Like I doubt it would, but it would be interesting to see if he defected to the Rebel Alliance after that because the Empire is what took away his ambition, so maybe that's where he'll end up. We also got a little bit more of a Cassian's backstory with him as a child, with Marva finding him.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool because, like, again, like just seeing these elements that we don't get to see as often. Like seeing her out like scrapping and salvaging stuff. Like, there's all these things that we always like kind of see in the background a lot of the time of like Star Wars, and we're just like, what would it be like, to follow these characters around even for a few minutes, like just to kind of see what they're about. So getting like that's one thing I do like about them doing the series is when they explore a little more into those questions because like some of these questions are things that we don't need answered. Like we don't need to know like, hey, what would it look like if Luke Skywalker showed up and like cut down a hallway full of bad guys? Like we know what that looks like. We've been seeing it for years. Like show me what a political argument between competing officers would look like trying to climb the ranks. Like show me people going out and scrapping and salvaging. Show me like native tribes like fighting against like this encroaching like Imperial force like we get with Cassian and his friends, like when they killed that officer that crash lands on their planet. Like just all these different things. Like there's so much that we've never seen in live action, and I love it when they give us those things. Like even simple things like when we were talking about season 2 of Mando, like what would it look like if a trooper just like launched a speeder bike off of a sheer cliff face? Like all these things that we know can be done that we've never got to see, in live action before. Like, give us those things. That's what I want out of Star Wars. Like, I want to see genres that we haven't got to play around with. I want to see a Star Wars horror movie at one point, or even like a horror series. Like, because so many of the creatures that we see in passing are terrifying, but there's usually a lightsaber involved, and it's like almost
Yeah.
no contest. Like, what would it look like if we saw an unarmed smuggler trapped in a Wampa cave? Give me the Descent with Wampas. Like, all these, like, just things that they could give us.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many more opportunities for things like that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to get more, because I think Favreau especially has been really good at kind of tapping into that and exploring stories that, like, we've known about that have been teased, like in the animated series and stuff, and like delivering those to us, even if they've been tied a little bit more to the Skywalker elements of the universe. But yeah, just more of that. That's what I want out of Star Wars right now.
Yeah. So yeah, and we talked a little bit about the the Imperial stuff going on. So we get a little bit of that, where we get this character named Daedra, and she's trying to look into that thing that Andor stole, and trying to find out if that's in her jurisdiction or not. So she's going to be a heavy player in this series as well.
Yeah, she's our new ladder climber.
Yeah, I think so. And I do love, there's also like this new major that they've introduced who has a very Tarkin-esque feel to him, called Major Partagaz. And I love him. And I'm like, who is this guy? What do I know him from? And it's Anton Lesser, who played Qyburn in Game of Thrones. The maester who was doing all the shady experiments.
So that's 2 Game of Thrones actors we get in this episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So yeah, no, I love him. I love everything going on. Yeah, and there, I'm interested to see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Really interested, eager to see where the series is going as a whole. I don't really know if there's anything more to be said about this episode.
Yeah, literally the only other thing I'm really curious to see how the internal strife with the Rebel Alliance faction that we've seen is going to play out. Because we've already seen one person essentially like turn on their own when was it Bix's boyfriend reports Andor to the authorities.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see the guy that Vel is, who is the waif from Game of Thrones, is going back and forth with I don't remember his name, but like one of her lieutenants essentially, like who's just challenging her on everything. I could see that going sideways. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, could very well happen. So yeah, we will see how well the heist gets pulled off, and whether or not it all like goes down in the next episode, or if it starts, because they give them 3 days. They said this is all gonna happen in 3 days time.
Yeah,
so it gives it a little bit of a timeline.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably going to play out in the next 1-2 episodes tops.
Mm-hmm. See, I kind of feel, I had heard that this series is like playing out in like these 3 episode arcs.
Okay.
Which makes a whole lot of sense based on, if you view this episode and contrast it with the first 3 episodes, those first 3 episodes all feel like, like one, like you just like cut them all into like one movie, and it makes sense because they're all playing off of each other, set all the same environments and the same characters and stuff. And all of a sudden this one, you're cut off from quite a few of the characters you're introduced to in that, first 3 episodes, as well as different new characters in all different locations. And I wonder if, this goes down over the next 2 episodes, and then starting with episode, 7, we
yeah.
would get something different, feeling. I don't know. That's how they used to play things, specifically in like Clone Wars. Clone Wars would work that way. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens in a live action show to a degree. Mandalorian also played that way to a degree, where like the first 3 episodes of season 1 were kind of a kind, and then a series of one-offs and standalones, and then groupings of like, other ones.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up with this one.
Yeah, wrap them up,
Dustin. So until then, Dustin, sounds like next week we're going to be without you.
Yes. Though not where originally I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be at Savage Henry Comedy Festival in Eureka, California. I have unfortunately had to pull out because I have booked some work on a SAG production shooting here in Los Angeles. So
Nice.
I will be on set all of next weekend, which I'm excited about. And you can find out whatever else I've got going on at DustinMeadowsComedy.com. At Dustin Meadows on Instagram and Twitter is probably the best places to find me outside of that.
Sweet. And there will be a special guest next week, as Dustin and Alex are going to be unavailable. So stay tuned for more details with that. And until then, you can find me at Travis Fishburne on Twitter. Pretty much anywhere else. You can find the show at Who Watches Podcast, gmail.com. Reach out. Please like, subscribe, leave all the reviews, give us all the feedback. It's all really appreciated. Yeah. And so really looking forward to next week. And so everybody, until next week, stay fat and satisfied.
So fat and satisfied.